Developed, created, and owned by James PoeArtistry Productions. With that choice of the blue pill, red pill, there was also a statement saying all he was offering the person was the truth. Now I'm here to share with you today that all I'm offering is the truth, but really that's not the case. There's an encouragement and motivation to also believe in the truth. There's also knowledge to let you know, as people in this, at times, scary world will realize there is a protection, an envelope, an encampment, if you will, of angels all around persons who end up learning the truth. Now, that doesn't mean unforeseen things don't happen at times, but all the same, you do have the encouragement, the strength, and yes, oftentimes protection from a realm that we can't see with these physical eyes, okay? So welcome to this PocbooksCrypto update moment, but it's not a PocbooksCrypto update moment. I concluded with that. So let's go into the James PoeArtistry Productions podcast a moment, okay? And so in the beginning I said, blue pill, red pill, and it was a choice. What type of person are you? Yes, that is in a reference to the Matrix, you see. Whether you want to look at it from the movie to the documentary, or the way people have viewed and written about it, to yes, also the very first person who was, claimed to be the author. I think there was, cases and court cases and things of that nature. I don't really know what the outlook, is for, but, some persons were saying that the movie was inspired by real life factual events of how this world functions. Did you know that? And so when persons first heard that or hear that, they may not believe it because they're looking at all the action sequences and the sci-fi elements of it. But the whole point is what the person was really showing, at least in their books and the author talking about how it was inspired and more of a documentary, so to speak, is because it really is the way that people function, their minds, and the way they interact with one another, along with, like I said, another sad realization how easily manipulated people are, you see. And they were mentioning that the Matrix was all around and it was in every facet, you see, of that mainframe computer mind. So it named every one of them, even agencies, you see, and and other places that today would surprise persons. But that's what it was claiming. It was literally everything and everywhere and around everyone. Okay. So with that being said, it has produced an environment of confusion that we live in today, that it may even seem like it's hard to actually find out what the truth is. And yet the truth is, from what I've stated with you many years, is found in the good book, the Bible. And when I, reference heavenly things from the Bible, the reason why I use only the Bible in that instance instead of other, because I know they're around, but they call them apocryphal writings, apocryphal. Yeah, boy, I can't believe it. Well, it's early in the morning. Get my voice together. I may be able to say it later. But it's these writings that has other elaborations, you see, of different individuals and accounts that's even in the Bible. And the reason why they call it croppable, I'll practice it later. The reason why it's called that is because when people read those writings, a lot of persons take it for them being, totally true as well, just as true as the Bible. And yet it's not really verified as being, authentic, you see. Can't really be proven that such writings have really come, from God himself. And see, and that is the key to understanding why some persons won't go into those types of writings to really prove their point, especially about prophecy, because they realize God's enemy also use a lot of inspired in expressions. You see, when they were walking around, the demons, even on the earth, all those thousands upon years ago, with their offspring, the Nephilim, their sons, you see, they actually talked with mankind a lot. You see, they talk with humankind a lot. They taught them things that God knew, and that's the case. God knew or did not want humans to really be engaged in or dabbling in at times. And see, and by those demons and the offspring of the demons being on the earth for that period of time, knowledge did get out there. You see, knowledge that now, even down to this day, has resurfaced through a variety of ways, through spiritism and things of that nature, you see. So that knowledge is right back out there. It happened before our days, but all the same, it goes to show that even though after the flood, where all the physical manifestations of the demon's offspring were destroyed, still the demons themselves, who had spirit bodies, were just able to still be around afterwards. They just couldn't take on physical bodies anymore. But it doesn't mean they didn't have their ways of communicating with persons who, wanted to go along that path and into their line of teaching, and yes, even wickedness, to be able to communicate with them in the way that, they could. See, and that goes into the deeper teachings. Now, I call them deeper teachings, but it really goes into the area of teachings that God was actually saying, no, you stay away from practicing these type of things. You see what I'm telling you? So I just wanted to share with you, though, with the truth, aside from that, the reason why, I focus on the Bible, all the Bible, whole Bible, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, even the Hebrew scriptures, Genesis, Book of Kings, Psalms, Book of Ezekiel, and then right back to the Greek scriptures, the New Testament, Revelation, Corinthians, all those books like that. Just to name some of them, they actually give us, again, insight into God's unlimited power, God's holiness, God's love. You see what I'm saying? And it's so much of a wealth or treasure of information in there that, hey, you're almost like, oh, I already know I got enough. By reading these books, I already know I understand God's fully and his will, etc. And see, and that's what it even talks about in the book of Timothy, where it says the word of God, you see, is basically equipped, or to make the man of God, the woman of God too, equipped for every good work. You see, for every good work. Now, with that being said, there's a lot of straightforward language what people or would certainly consider it as when there is a practice that is going on in this way or that way, where it's very clear cut, where once again it's saying, no, God does not like this, or God is unhappy with that. God has also said, hey, if you keep doing this or that, then you're going to lose your place in his new world. You see? So that goes to show right there, there's another teaching, that goes along. At times I heard it for years where, people say we're once saved, always saved. And you can really appreciate how heavily they are relying on God's love and on God's, once again, the willingness, it's in him to want to find the good in everybody. You see what I'm saying? And so they know that he loves them. You see what I'm saying? And he will, protect them and strengthen them and things of that nature. Yet, according to the rest of the other scriptures and aspects that I shared with you, like in the book of Corinthians, God was still saying, yes, I want to do all this for you, but if you keep doing this or practicing that, I'm still telling you, don't be misled. You're going to lose your place in my new world. Does that sound reasonable to you, perceptive readers? Because let me share something with you. When I was younger, sometimes I used to marvel at certain persons who, when it got to the point where they needed to, tell somebody off, you know what I mean? That they literally, well, at least, you couldn't see from outward appearances, they literally was not in a real frustrated state at all. And you could tell by the way that they went and talked to this person, it was really because they did love that person and wasn't wishing nothing bad on that person at all, even though, they really had to, tell this person a thing or two about the way that they were being treated by that person. You see? And sometimes, when you're young, you kind of admire that because you say, boy, how in the world can they do that when that person did all these bad things to them? And it's like, they're not even mad at them, even though, they are frustrated, but they really did love them, you see? And sometimes that might be a prayer for some. You see, they say, God, I understand that how can a person do that? Just like when you hear about when Jesus say, feed your enemy, how can you do that at times, for persons? I see, that's one thing I really appreciate. I see once again, the practicality in even doing that and the necessity of being able to have a humane society, you see? And yet, when you think a little bit more deeper from the aspect of why Jesus and God does it anyway, because it comes from even an emotional attachment, you see, side of love, of loyal love. You see what I'm saying? To actually, once again, I want the best, you see, for this person. So it goes even deeper than what maybe, many of us humans at times, when we're just showing the proper respect and kindness. When inside it's like, oh God, make me mad, but not from the way that, Jesus and God has many times, by reading the Bible, shown another spirit. Yes, not only is this an intellectual love that's being carried out, but no, it is coupled with some affection, you see, with feeling, with deep dignity and things of that nature. You see what I'm saying, perceptive reader? So with that, this is my encouragement for you to continue also in the red pill, blue pill, because red pill is supposed to be, that you're really accepting, the truth of what it may be, is this. When you take upon the Christian mantle, if you will, the clothing spiritually and the responsibility, The Christians back then, did not have the level of technology that we have today. And you could see by the way that they did their preaching work, they talked one-on-one with different persons, or 2-to-1, or 2-to-2, or a group in a room, or what have you. In person, they did that. And so with that being said, as they walked around in their travels, they ran into all sorts of people. They talked to all sorts of people that even, the other town folk, especially when it was branching out over the world, like Paul, apostle to the nations, that they talked with all sorts of persons. And so would you say that the Christian life, certainly after coming to accept Jesus, could not be based on one of a lack of courage or being in fear of, talking with people about God's kingdom, or being around people, period. That's just some information, from the time period of starting off. And I always mention the time period that we come down to our day. Yes, it's very interesting with these days that the Bible describes are very wicked. So you have to, keep strict watch. Keep strict watch on how you walk. And the whole point is, we're still all human. Now, in closing, this one thing that I want to share with you that can still happen to Christians. You've heard me talk about protection, like early in the beginning, about angelic protection. And the book of Psalms, I believe 34 or 37, somewhere in there, talks about that, how the angels are encamped around, you see, all the ones that God loves, the righteous ones, or his people, depending on how you read it or the translation. But you certainly do get the impression that, yes, persons are protected, and then at times, I keep telling you, there are unforeseen occurrences that do happen, that God allows too at times for different reasons. Now, this is one thing that I want to share with you. See, in these last days, it's more important than ever that people still know that they have a choice between the blue pill or being oblivious to who God is, and like his personal name is Jehovah on top of that, or what, or whether they will take the red pill and learn, more about not only God's name, but what it even takes to make sure that, you will appreciate being a citizen, you see, in God's kingdom here on earth, you see. If you're not of the ruling class that's going to heaven, but remember, you're still going to have administrators even here on earth. And so everyone is being looked at, even the ones who want to be administrators. That's no small responsibility to reach out for. And along with that, Jesus was talking more like even the persons who would reach out to be such administrators would still have a mind or attitude, should I say, of like a humble child. Do you see what I'm talking about, Perceptive Readers? A humble child. And see, remember, it has been brought out how children, when they first start up, they don't know anything about prejudice. They don't be thinking ill will about persons. That's been all brought out, how the persons of different races, I don't want to say that, a different skin color would be playing together, not even thinking anything about it. But then as they're growing older, then all of a sudden, all these other thoughts be coming in. And sometimes it's because of what they were shown or what was done to them or things of that nature. And so it can be at times, for some, easy to confuse this or that. But all the same, people who know you will continue to be able to apply the other aspects of God's word, the Bible, and find out, you see, what is true and what is not. And that's if they want to, you see. But I wanted to share this with you because you're going to have opportunities to speak the truth from time to time. And when I say speak the truth, I'm not talking just, in work related ways, corporations and things of that nature. No, but I'm talking even spiritually. I'm talking even spiritually. What you really think or feel about this matter or that matter, or why you feel about this matter or that matter, you see? And as you talk with different ones, and even ones who already have gotten in that water as a Christian, as they speak, you should be able to reason and ask any question you want about the faith. See, it would be of a concern if you can't. Remember, there was a time period, sometimes people call them the Dark Ages and everything, where persons couldn't even go to the ones who were in charge of translating the holy writings and things like, where, they only wanted to keep the Bible in Latin and everything. Now, why did they want to do that? Was it God's will for them to only keep the Bible in Latin? Where we know now today that it certainly wasn't. But see, that goes to show you again, Christians are charged to actually try to preach and teach to anyone who would listen, who would ask, who would inquire, even in sincerity. And remember, even though there are other opposers like the Pharisees who main goal is to try to twist everything that you do or say, that doesn't mean you have to stop what you're doing or saying, because they're already doing it anyway. And I told you, one thing that these certain people do is they actually just try to always stop or put a cloud over your joy, you see. So in closing, the one thing that I would encourage every single one of you perceptive readers, you take this to the bank. I'm saying this before God. If you do it otherwise, then you may not be ready or want to know the truth of the red pill. But you have a confusion with anybody. You have every right to exercise Matthew chapter 5, to write a letter, to talk to the person or what have you first, to find out what their confusion is if you have it. There's been others who the first thing they do is they look for reasons at times to become offended. Am I correct with that? You see? So the point is, can you distinguish yourself between those type of persons just seem to be looking for a reason to be offended, looking for a reason to play into trying to trick and trap persons, looking for a reason because of being given rice money, as I call it. You can look up that expression, to play a role in such things. You see what I'm saying? So the whole point is, you have administrators, I told you in God's New World, that these are the things that they are taught in the form of judgment, fair, balance, and also a willingness to apply, you see, the good teachings and the wholesomeness of what God is saying whenever they get into any type of situation or trouble. There's no call to go to war against a person, no matter what the person has done, until they are very clear directly to the person why, they're doing this or doing that, which still doesn't even justify that it's even according to the scriptures. to, like I said, beat somebody up in a certain way or what have you. But what the scriptures does show that when certain ones, even administrators, will use these other type of tactics, teachings from apocryphal writings or what have you, to justify why they're even judging you in a harsh way. See, remember I said teachings from apocryphal writings? See, to justify judging you in a certain way, which Jesus in Matthew chapter, 7, I believe, talks about do not judge, stop judging. Why was such things mentioned? Because remember, Jesus was aware just as much of blue pill type teachings, if you will, just as much as he had the red pill teachings. You understand? Okay. So thank you for being here this week. Remember, it takes courage, to be a Christian. It doesn't mean that you don't have a personality, but it still takes courage all the same to keep speaking the truth, even when other ones are trying to, whether muddy your name, which Jesus said would happen. It's still your responsibility, and hopefully this responsibility is done in love. You see, genuineness, to still tell others the truth as you have read it, how you were taught it. You see. So you have a very wonderful day, and I'm glad I was able to spend this time with you on the James PoeArtistry production moment. Take care.